Welcome back to a Tuesday Rebels Edge. And if you're wondering why the market's up so big today and why we've got the volatility we've got in the markets, well, we're about to tell you. We're going to break down stocks as well as some sports and prediction markets on today's Rebels Edge. Live from Circa Sportsbook, the world's largest sportsbook.
You're spending a lot of time in that sportsbook there, fella.
I am. There's a lot of sports bets I need to get down, Pete, including one that we'll be sharing with you guys for Clay Travis, I think, and his Nashville venture. But we'll wait for sports for that. Meanwhile, I'm Jon Najarian. He is Pete Najarian. Jared is handling all the complicated stuff today. And we always kick it off with the macro, Pete, which again today is going to actually be pretty interesting because the SPX or SPY, S&P 500, hit a new record. The Dow up over 700 points. And I remember just last week, Pete, people telling us, oh, this whole thing's done. Yeah. This whole thing, all these AI stocks, all these data centers, all the chip stocks, all the memory, everything, it's all done. Maybe not so much. What do you think, Pete?
I agree with you, John, and it's something that you and I have been talking about for the last 18 months. I went back and looked. I think it's 18, almost 19 months when everybody else was so negative. Hey, this AI, the spending is just outrageous. What is it? Why is it any good? Well, as I'm looking back at that, John, I'm taking a deep look and saying, well, those seem to be doing pretty well. And then, whether it's the chip stocks themselves or wherever you want to go. But that was something they missed. There was one other thing that they missed was that AI is not done. It's still going. And in some ways, it's still starting. But I think that the other thing is earnings. All these earnings, John, for the last 18, 19 months have been crushing it and crushing it and crushing it. 86% so far. We've had on the earnings side, revenue side, a little bit lower, call it 80%. But it is something that's been extraordinary. Throw in a little bit, of course, maybe a lot with Iran as well, because of the fact that, 2 weeks ago, John, or thereabouts, it was a 92 for a WTI, $92. Now, a little closer to 77, 78. So I would say that's given the markets a pretty nice macro push as well.
Yeah, and we broke it down for you yesterday, folks, but virtually everything from medicines to the little plastic bottles that the medicines come in, to your polar fleece, to the shipping, to the flights, to your cars, virtually everything is dependent on the price of crude oil. So if you take that one input up, well, things happen. Bad things in terms of inflation. And when it comes down, good things. And they want to just dismiss that, Pete. They want to just pretend like, well, that never happened. I mean, again, I'll throw it out there one more time. Under President Obama, we had we had nearly 1,000 days of $100 crude oil. How many days have we had under this president? And yet, Carl and a bunch of our friends, Pete, like to tell us all the time about how disastrous this is for the U.S. economy. Well, who are all these tech stocks selling to then? Who's buying them? Who's buying all these iPhones, Pete? Who is renting the Palantir products? Who is in these data centers? I mean, I guess nobody, it's all just funny money. It's just turning around. No, people are buying stuff. People are flying places. People are going on vacations.
Yep.
But again, you're welcome, folks. Turn the channel, go back over to those 4-letter networks and ask them how their trades in Reddit are doing. Ask them how those trades worked out when it dropped 22% and it was the greatest stocks of all time.
Ouch.
Ouch. If it's getting a little warm there, you wonder why.
Ain't that the truth? John, let's jump to the VIX itself. You had already teased it a little bit anyway. So I'm looking at it, 1550 up to about 16 and a quarter. I'd say that's the range right now. It's a little bit surprising even that I got back up on over 16, a little bit to me anyway. But those things are going to bounce around a little bit. We'll see. But it certainly is, and I think it says a lot about, how we've talked about this. You look at the price of oil and you match it up with, the VIX itself. Those are the moves that really do change things from volatility. And we have had a very nice cascading lower as we've watched the price of crude come lower, especially over the last week and a half, 2 weeks. Just like we said, it was up there at 18. Well, now here it is at 16 or maybe 15 and change. So interesting to watch how that VIX is working, John.
Yeah, down 24% since the 30th of July. 24%, folks. But again, man, if it moved up 4%, that'd be a headline on some websites.
Yes.
All right. Let's tell everybody a little bit about the Rebel Investors Club. Because, folks, the Rebel Investors Club is something that Pete and I started this past year. We started thinking about it, started saying, look, whenever we speak at these events, people ask us, how do I get into pre-IPO stocks like SpaceX, which everybody was asking about back then. Now they're all asking about Anthropic. They're asking about Anduril. Well, we have access to that, folks. So if you're somebody with just $500 or $1,000, we have special purpose vehicles we could get you involved in, SPVs. If you're somebody who's that light on the amount of capital you want to put in. If you're a seven-figure investor, in some cases, we can get you right onto the cap table, which means, of course, that you are taking the place of somebody who's an insider in that company. And you have the same responsibilities until that thing comes public or until they do the next funding round, and maybe you elect to sell at that point. Because a lot of these things trade like water. SpaceX was trading like crazy right through the last funding round, which was around $850 billion. $850 billion, folks. And then Elon said, hey, hold on a minute. Let me put my X.com into it. And so he did. And SpaceX, which is now 119, I understand that's under the IPO price. But what you guys might not know is that still prices it at 1.5 trillion. And math has never been my high skill area, Pete, but it seems like that's almost double the 850 billion that they raised on the last round. So anyway, you want access to pre-IPOs. You want access to crowdfunding opportunities. You want to know what Pete and Jon and Mark are investing in as far as some of these great stocks like Neoris, a company that we were involved with and that we hosted in New York at the Carlisle Hotel, the New York Stock Exchange, Delmonico's, and then over at the Metropolitan Club. You want to get involved in any of that stuff? Well, you join the Rebel Investors Club for $1 a day, and you could. So check it out. Scan the QR code there, folks, because we can get you involved in all of that with no obligation of you getting involved, even if you just want to sound smart at a cocktail party like what I just told you. Geez, SpaceX raised the last round at 850 and it's trading at almost double that right now. They must be really hurting all those people in SpaceX. Anyway, let's dive in, Pete, to stocks.
Yeah.
Palantir, and other than Elon Musk, probably one of the most hated CEOs is Mr. Alex Karp. Why? Well, because he's a brilliant guy who is the co-founder and CEO of Palantir, and it happens to be one of the biggest and brightest tech startups in a generation. And it was up over 20% last night when they came out with earnings. And we had some people that were, buying some ahead of that, and it worked out okay for them, I think. But Pete, what do you think here of what's going on in Palantir?
Crushed it. They came out. They absolutely crushed it. I mean, it's funny. I've been using that expression for a very long time, and it's been, working, that it's up 27% as we speak right this moment. So not so bad, I would say. They crushed the Q2 results. They raised the full year outlook. That seems like two pretty damn good things to do. Their growth, Jon, is just absolutely extraordinary because people, even if they don't know what they do, they're curious about this stock and everything else. Well, 93% growth in revenue, 1.94 billion, up from 1 billion a year ago. Commercial revenue up almost 150%. Full year rev expected $8.15 billion. I mean, Alex Karp comes out there and they absolutely crushed it. And it's amazing how well they have done. But this specific earnings cycle, I think this is as good as I've ever seen them deliver. I mean, this is phenomenal. It might be one of the best deliveries in this entire earnings season that we're in. Unbelievable what they put up, Jon. Some of those numbers they're not numbers that any of us are used to seeing, and they're delivering.
Well, what did Alex Karp, the CEO, call it, Pete? Otherworldly.
Yes.
He said, you're right. No one is putting up numbers like we're putting up right now. Right. And it's just getting back to, they're catching their stride again, Pete, after being beaten up so hard and people just giving up on the stock. Don't turn your back on Alex Karp, folks.
Right.
All right. Let's take a look at Snap, SNAP. Now, it's great that it's up 14% today, Pete. It really is. And I know a lot of people that got in on this IPO. I know some venture funds for some four-letter networks that got in on this one, Pete. And it was over $74 a share at one point. Well, after that lockup started to hit, it fell and fell dramatically and is now a happy $5.76 after a 14% rally. Now, that's not just me casting shade on some of these jokers that think that they're investment bankers, Pete, and think that they're traders. But I mean, look at that. This is a social media stock. Social media stocks, everybody loves them. They can make all this money. And yes, they can, but not if they have too much overhead. Elon proved that. He got rid of the overhead. And guess what? X is ruling the social media space, and Snap, not so much. But it's a good day for Snap anyway. It's a good day.
And they're turning the corner, I think. And that doesn't mean I think they're going to go from 5, Jon, and go all the way back to what that chart was showing us. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that they may have made a nice turn. I mean, their users are up by about 5%, the folks that are using them. Their free cash flow is up quadruple. It's up at $121 million. That's pretty solid. Their guidance was solid as well for the Q3, and their revenue expected to be up 19% year over year. I mean, they gave a good quarter, and they finally got that quarter that they really needed to deliver. Now, as you were just showing, this is a stock that was priced completely different from where it is right now in the 5s. But maybe they have turned, and I'm not saying that I'm all fired up about what they are doing right now, but I do think it's something that I'm going to keep a pretty close eye on this one, because I think whether it's with options or maybe even just with the stock, the beating that it's taken and now this turnabout in terms of what they did this past quarter and what their future quarters look like, I think it might be worth a look again.
Well, I got another one for you that might be worth a look again, Pete. I'm actually a little more bullish on this one than Snap, and that is on Semiconductor.
Yeah.
These guys came out with earnings. They're holding the gross margin at over 38%. That ain't bad. Operating margin, 16%. Basically, these guys came out with some earnings that were very, very strong, but they should be strong. They're an AI data center play. And data centers, if they could get enough power, data centers would be even bigger news, but they can't get enough power yet. And it, in many cases, takes them years to be able to secure enough power. And that's why you're going to see even more of these kinds of mergers and things like that. But I think these earnings are very solid. Are they great? Maybe on the edge of great, but it's a very solid report, Pete.
Yep, they delivered on the, what we want, which is the guidance, right? Q3 guidance that they gave, that was pretty strong. They obviously Q2, they did really well as well. I think the most critical thing that you mentioned, however, was about the data centers. And they talked about the strengthening demand that is affecting them in a very positive way, which is why I think that today this chip maker's up about 7%. So they're doing well. Are they doing great? I wouldn't put it anywhere in the category of many of those that have come before this, but I would say that it was a very solid quarter. Their projections look pretty strong. And I think this is one of those names that you probably want to keep an eye on. There are so many names now, John, in that space with data centers and AI and all the infrastructure and all those kind of things. I don't know. Somebody a while back did talk about Caterpillar and talked about how that might be the best AI stock that there is. And I don't know.
Somebody might be you.
It was the first time I said that to somebody on a TV interview, John, I said, it's my number one play in AI is CAT. And they go, what are you talking about? I said, well, who's building those data centers, huh? I mean, there's a lot going on and Caterpillar's really sucking it up. They're doing pretty damn well, John, clearly.
Yeah. Well, let's finish up with this one, Pete, obviously and clearly doing really well. Zebra Technologies up sharply. And what are they? They're barcode scanners and mobile computers, RFID, which is radio frequency and so forth. I mean, these solutions that they offer are pretty extraordinary, but I bet not too many of you would believe if I told you that, number one, it's a $17 billion company for QR codes, for barcodes, for RFID codes and all the rest. Yeah, and it just hit a new 52-week high of $360 a share. So how did they do that? Well, it turns out that people are pretty jazzed up about what they are going to report. Basically, continued strength in what they do, what they offer to companies. And I would say this is one that a lot of you, just like Exxon yesterday with the tasers and so forth, might not have been as aware of what these guys' upside has looked like in 2026.
Yeah, Zebra, what's really impressive too, John, is they didn't just beat their earnings. They didn't crush their earnings. They destroyed the earnings. I mean, they put up $6.35 and they were looking for $4.36. So I would say that they did pretty well with that. They raised the revenue beat rather is up 20+% year over year. That's pretty damn strong. Their outlook, and you were just alluding to that, is outstanding. And so I'm looking at it. It's up 18% or whatever it is right in this moment. I don't know, but I will say this: it's running, and I think it's running for the right reasons. And these guys are positioned very well in this oddity that we don't know as much about probably as we should. But like if you bring up scanners and you say, well, yeah, mobile computers and all that kind of stuff, I think a lot of people would start yawning. They shouldn't be yawning on Zebra because they're taking care of business.
They are taking care of business. And I think a lot of us would see a stock like Zebra and think, Palantir, yeah, tech stock. Zebra, not so much on the tech side, but $17 billion and a lot of demand for what they do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it should be on your watch list whenever it gets cheap, folks.
Yeah.
All right, Pete, I know you're going to love this one because in lieu of a video today, we actually have the new Nashville Balls. So this is going to be an WNBA powerhouse because the gentleman who is putting this team together has said, well, I'm going to take the WNBA at their word. Since every coach thinks that it's perfectly fine for men to play against women, he says, I'm going to have a completely transgender team playing in Nashville. And we'll welcome any NBA team to come in and play us. And he thought that the name for such a team should be the Nashville Balls. And I think he might have something here, Pete, because if they don't grant him a franchise, doesn't that make them kind of transphobic? Doesn't that make them bigoted and transphobic? Since he said, hey, I'll make the whole front office trans, my whole coaching staff trans, all the players trans. And he said, then let's see if they really can't figure out the difference between men and women. Because he said, I think we'll beat them by 50 points every game. So anyway, I'm sure we'll hear more about this, folks. But I just thought I'd share this with you because I think this might be a heck of a great investment.
I'm speechless.
Good. That means only one of us gets canceled.
Yeah. All right, John, let's talk a little. You're good, I'm sure. Let's talk a little college football just because we're getting there now. I was just talking with the guys that they have started. And, I was talking to the guys over at the University of Minnesota, and, they're pretty excited. They've got some really good positional people on that football team right now. They've got a running back that, for the world, everybody's pretty excited about him. We've got a defensive end who last year was, I think, in top 5 or whatever in sacks, and he's back. He could have gone, but he decided to stay one more year. I think that has to do with what kind of money that they get when they get this NIL money, John. They're getting more for that year than they will their rookie year. That's for sure in the NFL. So that's a little piece of that. But you know what? I wanted to look at this from this perspective. The power ratings are out for 2026. Here's what it looks like. Obviously, everybody knows what happened last year, and Indiana was at the very top. They won the national title. They're not in the top 5 as of right now. They're not far away, but they've got a new quarterback who's very good, transfer from TCU, excuse me. But here's what it lines up with the top 5, and I want to know where you stand with what team, what school do you have that they don't have in their top 5? Ohio State, Texas, Notre Dame, Oregon, and Georgia. And I think I know where you're going already, but where would you say in that top 5?
Of that top 5, Ohio State. Okay. Of that top 5. But as you know, and as I said yesterday, I think the team to beat this year isn't Notre Dame and it's not Ohio State. I think it's Miami because they got a quarterback, Pete, that lit it up at Duke, and now he's at Miami. And Miami was a play or two away from taking down Indiana, which was one of the best football teams I've seen in a long, long time. So fresh off of that national championship appearance, I'm going to say that, okay, because they lost that last game, Miami did, they were 13-3. They were 13-2 going into the last game. But they've knocked off Ohio State, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M along the way. Mm-hmm. That team is built to win. And Mark Fletcher Jr., he's back, that running back, the wide receiver, Malachi Toney, returns. And I mean, for gosh sakes, Pete, this team is loaded. And it's probably a much harder ticket to get than the Miami Dolphins ticket, I would think, because they play better football.
Yeah.
That's a good reason.
Yeah.
And at sports books like the one behind me, there will be a lot of money going on Miami. Trust me.
Yeah.
So who do you have, Pete? Let me ask you that. Throw it back.
You know what? I'm in the SEC with my pick, and I look at Ohio State, Texas, Notre Dame, Oregon, and Georgia. All good football teams. We know how great, I should even say, Ohio State truly is. Texas as well, and I talked about Arch Manning yesterday. I'm going to go with Oklahoma, John. I think this quarterback material is as good as it gets. He's somewhere in that top couple of quarterbacks, I think, in college football. Last year, they did lose to Texas. That was in the middle of the season. They also had a loss to Ole Miss later on, a couple weeks later. Some mistakes there. I don't think that the quarterback was really at the level that he's going to be this year, that he was last year. I saw the kid the other day, John. There was a picture of him. He has gotten in the weight room and really gone crazy. Sometimes that can be a bad thing for a quarterback. Sometimes it can be good. I guess we'll find out. But that Oklahoma has had some great classes that they've brought in there. And I think Oklahoma really is kind of quietly one of the best teams in the entire country. Offense, defense, the whole thing. Specifically offense, because that quarterback can run as well as he can throw. And shoot, they always have offensive lines. They always got linebackers and DBs. So I like Oklahoma a lot. How about this, John? I think the NFL has finally figured out something. And it took them a little while. But the coaches, GMs are already, they're finally, I should say, interested in paying these running backs because there's great running backs in the NFL. More teams are starting to go back to running the football, which is probably not good for the teams, the defenses that are built for more passing. But nonetheless, it goes back and forth, ebbs and flows and so forth. But Atlanta just gave Bijan Robinson $51 million guaranteed and a $75 million potential contract. Some pretty big numbers. Detroit has not paid Gibbs yet. I think he is as good as anybody, if not the best running back in the NFL right now. So I think they're going to eventually pay him. I don't know how that's going to work, but he's missed already 5 practices, kind of sitting out. He's there, but he's not participating. So I think that at least shows, hey, he's interested. He wants to stay, but you got to pay him. And I'll tell you, he is about as electrifying a running back as there is, and he's not just a running back. He's got great speed, but he's also a great receiver. So this guy is, I think, a little bit – he should get a bigger contract, I think, than Bijan Robinson, and it's going to be pretty interesting. By the way, in NFL history, he has the most touchdowns in his first 3 seasons of anybody ever. 49 touchdowns this guy's got in 3 seasons. So – is he a pretty damn good player? He is. Is he stuck up in Detroit and we don't always see a lot of Detroit games? That's probably the issue as well, because we know about the quarterbacks and all that type of thing. But these running backs, and a running back like him, I think he's pretty damn special, and he can play wide out, kind of like a little bit like Debo, or Dabo rather. So what do you think?
Well, first of all, ugly uniforms. When they go the monochromatic, the whole thing, Pete, they don't just have, the blue tops and white pants or whatever. They've got blue all the way down to their freaking toes. Mm-hmm. And I think the uniforms are ugly. But that guy is a fantasy football monster. Yep. And people love him because of that. I think Jeremiah Love could be giving both Bijan and Gibbs a run for their money, Pete. Agreed. Now, it's too early to say. He's playing for the Cardinals also, which I don't know what kind of O-line they're going to put out there to block for him, Pete. Mm-hmm. Hopefully something good. But, Jeremiah Love, if you watched that kid play at Notre Dame, he was next level. Mm-hmm. Every game next level. So I would definitely say he should be in the conversation if you're a fantasy player, by all means, folks, take this kid if he's available, because he will make breakaway runs, and he also runs over and through people. Yeah. So I really like him, Pete. I really like Jeremiah Love. And he's a great young man, too.
Yep. Quality person, everything. Yeah, he is a great football player. We'll see more of him. And the only issue, you brought it up, is the offensive line. It's not the quarterbacks, the offensive line. And that's why those quarterbacks all get the crap kicked out of them as well. We were able to get one here in Minnesota before he was completely decimated with all the sacks that they were taking. But yeah, that they do lack an offensive line.
Well, folks, we appreciate you joining us. We are on streaming Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Encourage you to check out, of course, the Rebel Investors Club. And we will be back at 1 p.m. tomorrow, and we hope you join us then. Till 1 o'clock tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.
See ya.